probably feel is going through all types of physical and mental torture. But that's all right, because we said even before this happened, and we're going to say it after this, and after I'm locked up, and after everybody's locked up, that you can jail revolutionaries, but you can't jail a revolution. Right. You might run a liberator like Eric Cleave out the country, but you can't run liberation out the country. You might murder a freedom fighter like Bobby Hutton, but you can't murder freedom fighting. And if you do, you come up with answers that don't answer, explanations that don't explain. You come up with conclusions that don't conclude. And you come up with people that you thought should be acting like pigs, that's acting like people and moving on pigs. And that's what we've got to do. So we're going to see about Bobby, regardless of what these people think we should do. Because school is not important and work is not important. Nothing's more important than stopping fascism, because fascism will stop us all.
Next here, I've got this article from the Canada Files called Canadian Imperialists in Haiti, Part 1, Leading an Intervention to Restore Haiti's Ruling Class, written by Travis Ross. Travis Ross is also writes for Canadian Haiti Info Project. He's written for Haiti Liberté as well. And this is a Canada Files as well. They do great work and kind of provide stories, well, at least for the Canadian readers, provide stories that a lot of mainstream media wouldn't necessarily cover as well. So props to them. I'll get into it here because there's 3 parts. I won't read all of it. However, I encourage you guys to do so because it's very, very good and gives you a very good summary of Canadian, especially Canadian. Well, it's titled Canadian imperialism in Haiti, but Canadian imperialism, but also the U.S. in there as well. So I encourage you to read it. I'll get into it here and give you really some of the points, the more important parts for me, and what struck me the most as well. On April 2nd, a Haitian solidarity group come Debout pour la Dignité demonstrating in front of Prime Minister Trudeau's office in Montreal. Their main demand is that Canada intervene in Haiti. The organization president, Wilner Caillot, spoke to 200 demonstrators, all members of the Haitian diaspora, according to a journal, the Montreal Report. He told the demonstrators that they want serious commitment from the Canadian government and that Canada can make a difference. So basically, people from the Haitian diaspora are asking for an intervention as if they haven't seen past attempts, well, but not attempts, successful interventions, and seen how the country was left after, right? Anyway, I'll leave it there for now, but we'll get into it. In an October 8, 2022 letter to the UN Secretary Council, Guterres explained that the Haitian National Police is spread thinly. According to Guterres, some 13,000 officers reportedly assigned to law enforcement activities in Haiti. Importantly, only a third are believed to be operational, undertaking public security functions at any given time. The number of PNH officers is believed to have dropped to somewhere between 9 and 10,000. The UN calculated that Haiti has a ratio of police officers to a population of 1.06 police officers per 1,000 inhabitants. This is nearly half of the UN's suggested international ratio of 2.2 per 1,000 inhabitants. So basically, they're pointing out that the Haitian National Police is outnumbered, and why this is a problem. Well, even for if there was, like, assuming, let's say, we know most of the gang activities in Port-au-Prince, but they don't even have enough national police. So let's just say there was something going wrong in most of the country. There's not even enough police to support most of the population, even half of the population. So they don't have enough. They don't even cover that much ground in Haiti as well, since, again, people leaving to a lot of police leaving to the U.S. Because then again, why would I get paid? The pay that they're getting for the job they're doing is, in my opinion, not worth it. I condemn them for doing it. Like, I'm not concerned. Condemn them. I mean, I support them for doing it. Most of them seem like they're very patriotic people too, that are trying to do better for the country. But I don't blame the people that leave the police force as well. Like, you're basically risking your life every day, especially in these conditions, for the amount you're making. Sometimes it doesn't seem worth it. So if support for the PNH becomes slow but steadily, Flow of foreign ministers and military personnel into Haiti. The number of foreign officers could easily match or outnumber the current numbers of PNH officials. So essentially, what they're saying is, so if like, and I'll get into it more here. Give me one sec. Leading into a foreign organization by a different name, the support can be framed as a Haitian-led, as relative to a Haitian handful of Haitian PNH officers who will continue to have a likely more symbolic role in anti-gang police operations. So essentially, what Travis is saying here that now this police operation, this police force is not like, depending how many troops would get on the ground, it would not be hard for them to outnumber, to at least, if not match, then outnumber the Haitian National Police. And then at this point, this police, this narrative of a supporting the Haitian National Police by will really look like kind of like a foreign intervention, but not their face attached to it here. And I'll get into it more. The reality is that an international police force of 3,000 to 5,000 police would certainly lead to foreign officers having a significant and direct effect on daily life in Haiti. Support for the PNH is simply a foreign military invention by another name, as Travis stated right here. So, like I said before, it's not that easy. It's not that hard for them to outnumber, depending how many police forces they bring in. And at that point, it would be, although it's like a Haitian-led, it would look like a Haitian-led force. Well, if you look down the numbers and who's coordinating the planning, it would be outside troops, right? And then again, just a different form of international intervention. An investigation by author Nick Barry Shaw and Drew Ojaje revealed that the RCMP provided training and vetting to the new Haitian National Police, which brought back many of the members of the feared National Army of that had been disbanded by Aristide. Aristide being the former president of Haiti that suffered 2 coups d'etats in 15 years, I believe. Yeah, 13 years. This followed Canada's active role in the coup that plunged Haiti into violence and chaos from which has yet to have been recovered. The investigation shows that the RCMP-trained Haitian National Police were frequently accompanied by U.S. and Canadian soldiers and later United Nations forces. As they embarked on a series of forays into the poorest neighborhoods of Port-au-Prince, PNH killed innocent civilians, imprisoned political dissidents without charge, and drove Kiasi's supporters into hiding and exile. So this is what happened. This is literally, so last time there was an intervention of this magnitude, this is literally what happened. It was led while training from the U.S. and Canada. They went into these poor neighborhoods where Aristide had popular support, and then they conducted massacres, basically. Like a lot of supporters, and he didn't mention a lot of them. Some of them died, but no one to put into exile. A lot of people, like from the population, were killed either in crossing of the of gunfire, or direct involvement from the police and military intervention as well. Once it became clear to the Washington and the core group that any attempt at military intervention will be rejected by the Haitian people and blocked at the Security Council, Guaitel's second option for intervening in Haiti was accepted, supporting the PNH. And this is back what Travis was saying in terms of now they're really just focusing on, okay, let's support PNH, but how are they doing so? Well, let's see if we can get a security force in there. I mean, a special led force. And this is why you saw earlier during the year, the Buck. Then again, I keep mentioning this in my past episodes, but the U.S. had asked directly Justin Trudeau to lead an intervention, and then Justin Trudeau had gone through CARICOM and asked some of the Caribbean leaders to do so on behalf of Canada and the U.S. And this is another quote here, and this is back to the thing I was talking about, the raid, the special training that France is providing to Haitian National Police for 1 month, and which they have also done back in March, from March 1st to March 15th. They had all the French came to Haiti and provided some training to the police for 2 weeks as well. So now a total of about 6 weeks. But here, I'll read it here. In a recent interview with Matt Galloway on CBC Radio's The Current Show, retired Canadian General Tom Lawson, a former chief of defense staff for the Canadian Armed Forces, was blunt in his assessment. 6 months is really a bait on the end of a hook to any country that might lead or contribute to a force here. And by 6 months, he's referring to if they were talking about in terms of duration of a military intervention, and 6 months was a time floating around to apparently eradicate the gangs. So I'll continue here. We're not talking about 6 months. We're not talking about a couple years. We're likely talking about talking 5 to 10, 15 years, because we're talking about nation building. We're not talking about establishing a safe and secure area for the government now to get to its task. We're talking about a non-functioning government, so we're talking about a nation building, and that's in terms of like we've seen in Afghanistan and in Iraq, decades. So there's been repeated evidence that shows that military intervention doesn't really work, yet some people are calling for it, and I understand why. And Travis does mention it in, I believe, part 3 of this article, because some people in the diaspora too are, like Travis mentioned, are desperate because some of their families are getting affected by these gangs, and then they're forced to pay out lump sums to pay these gangs to maybe free potential family, mortgage a house, take out loans as well. So I explain the point. I can see where they're coming from, most likely from a point of desperation. However, you can see in this article too, military intervention in the past, and even former defense staff for Canadian Armed Forces tells you it's not realistic how they want to go about it. Because if they are going to provide help and want a military intervention, it'll be, at least if they're going to be serious about it, it would have to be more than 5 years. At least that's just my opinion. They're talking about decades. I'm saying like at least 5 years for that to be actually have, if interventions did work, I'd say meaningful change. But in case we already know, and with past examples, not just with Haiti, but with other countries in Latin America, Africa, and the rest of the Caribbean, military interventions do not work. And if they do, it's for very you'll see it's for it's slight, it's like I said, it's putting a band-aid over it, slight fix. For example, and there's numbers showing it that after the coup d'etat military intervention supported by U.S., Canada, and France, crime rates, not by a lot, but it did go slightly down in Haiti, but then it picked right back up a few years later. But regardless, it did have an effect for a couple years in the country. Now I want to get to part 2 of the article, and this is talking about the I'll just show you guys the title: K-Imperialism in Haiti, Part 2, Haiti's Control, Opposition, and Global Fragility Act. I'll just get to the Fragility Act part here. So what is the Global Fragility Act? So I'll read it right here, and this is from the congress.gov, directly from the U.S. government. This bill directs the Department of State to establish the Integrity Global Fragility Initiative to destabilize conflict-affected areas and prevent violence globally, and establish funds to support such efforts. The State Department shall devise a plan to the initiative, including its organizational structures and goals. The State Department shall lead in foreign policy, diplomatic, and political efforts. The U.S. Agency for International Development shall lead in development, humanitarian, and non-security policies. So they haven't given much info on what type of help and what type of what it entails on long term. They'd say it's something they're going to report to Congress every couple of years or so, when they did announce it back, I believe, in 2019. But it hasn't been given much details on it. So I'll get into the Global Fragility Act here. Canada quietly endorsed the American Global Fragility Act in the early 2020s. A single statement by Canadian Embassy in the U.S. stated that Canada celebrated the passage of the Global Fragility Act. And if you know, U.S. is the big daddy of Canada, in the sense that Canada, in terms of military power, in terms of like their power on the international stage, it is all because they're basically supported by the U.S. and NATO. Whenever U.S. has these certain interests, Canada is always there to do their bidding, no questions asked. Up until recently, now I see that the countries, not to say they have backbone, but somewhat some backbone, when Trudeau, and that's to say they don't want to directly intervene into the country, but yet he's asking the Caribbean nations to do so. So there's that. As journalist Kim Ives noticed in recent articles, although Global Fragility Act was passed with bipartisan support under Trump in 2019, it has remained under the radar. He explains that the GFA is essentially a new alliance of USAID know-how with Pentagon muscles. To achieve this, the U.S. plans to integrate the U.S. diplomacy, development, and security sector engagement in Haiti. In other words, the State Department, its humanitarian arm, USAID, and the Pentagon will all work in close coordination. I've explained that this means that the new DOS, USAID, and DoD complex will effectively take over Haiti if Washington gets its way, thereby returning the country from a neo-colony back into a virtual colony as it was from 1915 to 1934 when U.S. Marines occupied and ran it. Nonetheless, the U.S. would try to keep some Haitian window dressing. The GFA's broader context was explained when in the act was originally rolled out. Franz Z. Brown, a senior fellow at the Canadian Endowment for International Peace, views the GFA's bilateral agreements with fragile states as a way to prevent China and Russia from preying upon weak governance, reflecting their opinion on many U.S. think tanks. So this is going back to the multipolar world. You'll see the rise of China on an economic level as well, and where they're going in terms of providing assistance. And I'll continue here and get back to it. A successful partnership under the GFA between Haiti and Washington will ensure that Haitians remain under U.S. hegemony for decades. This would also block diplomacy and investment from countries like China, who has recently, as 2017, offered 4.7 billion USD infrastructure project. And Travis linked it to the HuffPost article here. $4.7 billion Chinese development project advances in Haiti. Okay. So I'll read it. I'll get into it here and then back. We'll go back to the Canada Files article. It looks as if China is willing to make a good on its agreement with Haiti for the renovation of Port-au-Prince. In a letter to Zi Yangjiang, an advisor to China's Southwest Municipal Engineering Design and Research Institute, Port-au-Prince Mayor Ralph Yuri-Chevy agreed to accept the Port-au-Prince Municipal Renovation Project. The project contains a proposal for water and drainage works, road improvement, environmental projections, drainage and sanitation, a communications network, and reconstructions of the old city of Port-au-Prince. The initial infrastructure investment is 4.7 billion. You can read the letter here. So keep in mind, it's not that the project got approved to start working on. The proposal at the time got approved as well by the mayor at the time. So just to show, and this is what you can this is what real aid aid looks like, right? How many times have the U.S. and Canada have been in Haiti, and what have they actually like built some like meaningfully to help the country? Nothing, because at the end of the day, like Canada and U.S. they don't owe anything to Haiti. Like I'm not even gonna think, oh, they should do this and do that. They do that. They don't owe anything. However, when you're talking about actually helping out, like people are not stupid. Like I can see contrast. Just look what they're giving to Ukraine compared to what looking to Haiti, and look at what they're giving to Ukraine and say like, well, if Haiti could even get half of that, what Ukraine's getting, be like, oh, okay, maybe they're trying to do something here, maybe help. They're not putting. All of this is just for control. You can see it here wide, even with the Global Fragility Act. They don't want China or Russia going into Haiti for two reasons: in terms of proximity. Same way NATO, with the NATO alliance, a country like U.S. can install its missiles in NATO countries, and same thing. Well, any NATO country. I could see something where BRICS does the same thing. Let's just say, for example, Haiti was a BRICS nation, and then Russia or China wants to put their missiles right Haiti, right under the U.S.'s nose. U.S. would panic, right? It's the same thing that happened with the Cuban Missile Crisis. Once they realized that Russia was at the time, so the Soviet Union was shipping, we're about to build sorry, I don't want to butcher this. We're building a missile down there that was pointing up to the U.S. or near U.S. proximity. That's when JFK had ordered all those boats to kind of blockade the shipment of the missiles, and then without people are calling this potential World War III, because you literally saw the freaking boat coming down, and then the U.S. Marine blocking the shipment. Naval blockade, what you call it? They had set up a naval blockade. That's what it was. Blockade. They don't want them going. They don't want them going into countries as well. And long-time beef between the U.S. And Russia, and then economically, China is a threat to the U.S. with the de-dollarization of the U.S. and the Chinese yuan gaining slowly, but gaining popularity. They feel threatened by that as well. And just to get into what is China's massive Belt and Road Initiative, the Belt and Road Initiative is a massive China-led infrastructure project aims to stretch around the globe. And so this is what I want to show you guys here. So this is the Silk and Belt and Road Initiative. That China, you'll see that China is basically in all these countries right here. So a lot of former colonies, mainly a lot of the African states. So they have at least some type of project going on in these countries based on the Silk Belt Road Initiative. And if you go look here, they're slowly penetrating Latin America and the Caribbean. You'll see that Uruguay, Chile, Peru, Venezuela, Guyana, and Bolivia all have joined into the Silk and Belt Road Initiative. And a lot of these countries are some former countries that U.S. Either has interest or have had interest in them in the past. You'll find Costa Rica, Panama in there as well, and also Cuba. And if you know the beef between U.S. and Cuba at the time of the missile crisis, when Russia, well, at the time the Soviet Union was installing kind of a I don't want to say missile station, but a missile down in Cuba that was right under the nose of the U.S. And then JFK ended up setting up a naval blockade because to stop the shipment of the missiles that were getting set up in Cuba. And then all the false narratives of Fidel Castro came out and all that, but a different topic for another day. But it's a similar issue here where you can see China slowly penetrating into the Latin America. And then so now for Haiti, a country like Haiti being friends with Russia or China, it's a threat to the U.S., especially as well because which I think one of the main reasons too is their geographic location, right under the nose of the U.S. A country like U.S. who has about 900 military bases across the world. If China, Russia had to set up something in Haiti or somewhere in the Caribbean, it would be right under their nose, which would be a threat to them, obviously. To continue, Jovenel Moïse, who was assassinated over 2 years, learned that this lesson the hard way. Mired by corruption increasingly insulated from Haiti's oligarchs, Moïse established former diplomatic relations with Moscow only 1 month before his assassination. Accredited Russian ambassador Sergei Bagdarazov, it was the first time Haiti had established diplomatic relations with Russia. Many argue that this was the factor which led Washington to greenlight the Moïse assassination. Indeed, Washington has good reason to fear Haiti building diplomatic relations with Russia. It was common to see Haitians flying Russian flags in street protests over the past year. Haitian economist Boz Aglan explained that Haitians see that Putin has defied the West through the invasion of Ukraine and smell the advent of New World Order where no one country will be calling the shots. In other words, a multipolar world may work in favor of Haitians, according to Anglade. Haitians have been paying attention to global events and are sending a clear signal to the United States. I encourage you to read the rest here, especially the part manufacturing consent for the Global Fragility Act, but mainly in here you'll find that nothing's changed much in terms of the U.S. tactics, just different times, different ways of doing it. But at the end of this, all the aid that U.S. is that Haiti is getting, all this training that they're getting, is not out of the soul heart of the U.S. or Canada, but trying to maintain and establish control over their neo-colony, I would say.